fluff belongs on a sandwich, not in a video, and so we're gonna jump right into 7 things that really awesome remote teams do that you might not be doing. Number 1 is systemizing human connection with an all-remote team. So just yesterday, I was leading a workshop for 180 leaders in a 2,000-person organization that over COVID decided to go all remote. There is no office anymore. No one's going in. And so all of the in-between moments of connection get evaporated. And so in the short term, that creates lots of efficiency, actually, right? Lots of work get done, and people really appreciated that over the pandemic. It was like, whoa, we're actually getting a ton done in less time. Efficiency can be the enemy of sustainable culture and connection, though. And so systemizing human connection, ingredients 2 through 6 that I've got are gonna be 5 different ways that you could pick out and choose to add a system of human connection into your daily flow. My invitation from this moment forward is to ruthlessly steal and reinterpret all of these ingredients and apply them into your own context. You know your own team and organization best. I do happen to know some things about how to make virtual engagement easy because I'm this guy, but I don't know everything, and you're the expert of your own world and own experience, and so I don't want to tread on that. Ingredient number 2 is this idea that I picked up from Mark Collard out of Australia called the unofficial start. And the concept is in-person meetings, remote meetings, doesn't matter. We tend to reward people for being late by waiting for them to show up. And so the unofficial start says, if our meeting starts at 9 a.m., what if at 8:57 we had a question posted on the PowerPoint or posed in the chat for people to respond to? Ideally, that question connects to the purpose or reason for that meeting. So it's not just like this separate side thing that we do to just kill time. It's actually really tied to why we are there so that brains start getting warmed up. So that when so-and-so jumps in after they've fed their kids spaghetti, there's already some movement that they're hopping into, as opposed to at 9:05 saying, okay, we can get started now. Number 3, context hook. Once everybody is there, somebody, you who's leading the meeting or you who's not leading the meeting, must, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, must say a single sentence that pulls everybody together around the purpose of the meeting. So the context hook, the idea is on a remote team, everybody clicks a link or jumps into an asynchronous chat. If we're not tied to why we're meeting for that chat and why is this actually important, maybe even more importantly, right? Why are we meeting and why is it important that we're meeting? Then you're gonna have people in very different contexts. If you got 5 people at a meeting, you're gonna have people in 5 different meetings trying to accomplish different things, unless that one sentence is shared that's really crystal clear. And so the tip or idea there, the systematization, is maybe not worrying so much about building out an entire agenda for your meeting, because most remote teams have too much going on, and doing that for every meeting is really impractical. But spending 30 seconds coming up with the one sentence purpose. And if you want to strengthen it, add the words "so that" at the end. So we want to meet to report out last week's numbers so that everybody is really clear on where the business is and feels connected to the overall mission. Right? You see how that "so that" stretches the context hook and like loops everybody together, includes currency that they might care about. Next one, connection before content. And let me be really clear about this. Connection before content can happen in as little as 30 seconds and can run into 10, 15 minutes of a meeting. The point is, I would not recommend continuing down a path until everybody is connected at a human level. Because if you have only human doings in a work environment and you're on a remote team, you risk people feeling like things rather than people over time. So it's not an issue in a particular meeting, right? You do one meeting, you jump in, you just like get down to it, fine, not a big deal. But in a remote team, if that's happening over and over and over again, your people are gonna start to feel like human doings rather than human beings, and that is not sustainable, right? They will leave and go somewhere else where they are seen, heard, and understood a little bit more. And so connection before content on a short form, you could have literally complete the sentence. So for example, on the 30-second spectrum of connecting before content, you might literally just do a sentence completion, just to gauge where people are at. Hey everybody, in the chat or off mute, can you just fill in this sentence? Right now, what's taking up a lot of my brain space is ... Getting everybody's responses to that just allows a little bit of humanity to eke out into Zoomtown or Teams or wherever else you're meeting. The fifth thing that awesome remote teams do that you might not be doing is designing their content for contribution. And this one takes a little bit of creativity because we're used to living in a world where pure information sharing is accepted, right? Where we're just like, yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff to report out. How would I report it out? I would use my voice and speak it into somebody else's ears, which is fine if you're not in a super distracting environment with an inbox one click away and all this other stuff going on. And so even if you're sending an email out to somebody that would typically be designed just for information sharing for consumption, you might have one big, easy to respond to question in bold to invite people's contribution, right? When you design content for contribution rather than purely for consumption, it engages the group, which again is really important on a recurring basis for remote teams to have these drips of saying, hey, I want your perspective. Hey, I want your perspective. You know, we talk about inclusion and belonging, and I think the hand gesture for that is this. It's like, come on in, right? So somebody walks into a party and they've never been there before and they're feeling a little bit uncomfortable and they're the only person that looks like them. Do they feel like everybody looks over, notices them, but doesn't acknowledge them? Or do they feel like they walk into a room and they're like, hey, we haven't met yet, come on in? That is happening on a moment-to-moment basis in a remote team. And so inviting people's contribution is like this hand motion, right? Asking for perspective, not over asking, right? You don't need to be asking everybody on everything. You know, it doesn't need to be too many cooks in the kitchen, but I do think it's important to be deliberate about the way that we ask. Going back to number one, systemizing human connection, bringing us to number 6, which is closing. How do you close, not just closing a meeting, but closing out a week, closing out a sale, right? I worked for a company at one point, at the time, an in-person tech company. They're now all remote. And they had a gong in the office. And every time something really good would happen, somebody would walk over and bang that gong. And it was just this part of their system of elevating the good in the organization. When you're remote, you're living in the vacuum of mute. And so how can you invite and systematize some of that good stuff? Perhaps you buy little branded bells to keep on everybody's desk. And when you're in a meeting or somebody's recording a video to send out to the team or something, you set off a little ding or a bell. And that's just the organizational audible cue that something really great is happening. On a very literal perspective, closing, being deliberate in the way that you end a meeting because it shapes the energy with which that group will show up to the next thing that they have on their calendar. Number 7, a little bonus round, is an acronym, F.U.N.N. Fun. Functional, understanding, not necessary. And this is the idea that sometimes things that are fun don't need a purpose. Sometimes you can just do something interesting or fun just for the sake of, just to share a laugh together, just to create a shared experience, moment, etc. And so whether that's inviting your entire team to leave their home office and go do something that they've never done, take the next half hour and go do something that they've never done purely for the sake of creating a new experience and coming back with some fresh perspective, or whether that is on Friday at 8 a.m. systematizing and setting a meme festival where everybody picks their favorite meme or goes and searches out a meme that represents where they're at right now and posts it to the team chat. If that happens and everybody gets a reminder at 8 a.m. to drop a meme, it becomes a systemized human connection, but also this moment that people look forward to, this way that can close out a week really beautiful. What all these ingredients do is bake in human connection and engagement and contribution into a remote culture, where otherwise, if you're left to your own devices, culture just kind of gets deflated and ends up looking like this. And so infusing these elements gives lots of choice in how you actually build that culture and lots of autonomy so that the culture is a reflection of your people, not a reflection of just leadership or what they want. If you want help making virtual engagement easy, there's this thing. And also, feel free to send me a note. Have an awesome day.